Good morning, Commissioners. Curtis Franklin with Parks, Rec, and Natural Resources. I'm here to talk to you today about a countywide dredge management plan task order that we're bringing under the Restore Act. Talking a little bit about need, you heard the people talk a little bit earlier about it, but we have obviously a lot of channels along the coastline. A lot of them are dating back 50, 60 years. So we're starting to see some issues with siltation. Bailey's Bluff, for example, is a perfect example of that. Last time that was dredged out was like 1962. So it's been a long time, and it may be due. But anyway, so we currently maintain as Parks, Rec, and Natural Resources the following channels: the Gulf Harbors North and South, Signal Cove, Anclote, Hudson, and Sea Pines. It's upon the residents for the remainder of the channels that are out there currently to go out there and maintain those channels. We have multiple subdivisions in the county that are built on a canal system, as you know. There is currently no funding mechanism that I could find that's in place to support any kind of maintenance dredging that's associated with that. Right. So it may be prudent, it may be time to go out there and look at perhaps putting something like that in place. Based on that, and based on the variability that goes with dredging, with the different costs that are up there, some of the things I showed, there's a need to look at some cost analysis on buying and staffing dredge equipment versus contracting the service out. We don't know which one would be the more cost-effective way to do it. I'll give you an idea of what some of the support is like, or what some of the need is like. Here's the Hudson Beach area. You got Hudson Park that's on the north end there. All right, and you can see all the houses that are supported by it. Here's Gulf Harbors. Once again, you have a very high amount of concentrated houses in and along the coastline that are dependent on two main channels that come out of here to get in and out of their development.
Well, there's really three, because Seaforest has to wind around in their channel to get out to the north channel.
Here's Leisure Beach and Signal Cove. Once again, a very high density amount of houses. Driftwood, Gulf View, I had to bring it out a little bit farther to kind of get the impact of the channels here. Okay, we're already, as you know, we're already on a shallow coast. We're already in an area where it's challenging to get a boat out to begin with. If we don't maintain these, obviously we're going to have issues. And then here's Sea Pines, a good look at that. So you can see, obviously, we have a high density houses that are in there. You can kind of see the need that's associated with it. So we've asked Dewberry to come up with a scope of services with a Pasco County-wide dredge management project plan. And we're asking them to do 4 different things here. The first thing we're asking them to do is look at permitting. Give us an analysis of what the current requirements are, what we would have to do in order to go back and do these dredges. They are going to they're going to analyze ownership and right-of-way issues that are associated with that. They will be conducting meetings and interviews with the local communities that are out there. We'll set them up with that so that they can go out there and talk to them and find out what the needs and assessments are. The next thing we want to do is we want to have them take a look at the dredge services alternate assessment. This is a market cost analysis. Is this better to go out there and buy the equipment ourselves, staff up a group of people, or is it better to go out there and do the contracted services based on what our coastline is and the number of people that we have? So we're going to ask them to provide that analysis for us. And they're also going to give us what the construction cost would be. Following that, they're going to look at leveraging. They're supposed to come back to us, and they're supposed to talk about alternative ways to do it. One of the things they're going to look at is an MSBU option, 10, 25, and 50% of the cost of doing the dredge. What would the impact be to the people that are along the coast? And finally, they're going to come up with a final countywide integrated dredge plan. Here we go again. Incorporates final versions of the dredge maintenance project, the technical memorandum, and a 5-year alternative service sources funding strategy. So basically a summary page of what are some of the options that we could do out there, how we could afford to get to where we need to be in order to assess the dredge needs. The end goal of this is to take not only what they've done and use it for our own good, but also to use it as potentially putting together a restore project. Okay, and that's why we're bringing it under the restore guidance. This would be a great, in my eyes, this would be a great restore project, especially for something that's a regional type of project. Particularly, we can reach out to Hernando or Pinellas after the results of this are known, and potentially put together a more regional plan, so we can combine this and perhaps build a very good restore project with it. So we did ask Mr. Brian Griffin to come here. He is here if you guys have any technical questions associated with it. And Mr. Stuart Rogers is also here from Dewberry if you guys have technical questions with it.
Well, I have some questions, and I can't pull it up on my new laptop here. So did you include the Anclote River? It says here Anclote, but I can't tell if that's the
We
Anclote
do,
River.
yes. We do maintain some of the Anclote River. We maintain in front of the beach area that's out there. That's our primary area of responsibility, from my understanding. Now, Mike's probably going to tell me I'm wrong on that, but from my understanding, that's where we maintain with the Anclote River.
I just recall during the storm discussion that there were boaters who used the Anclote River, like, for example, Riviera subdivision has a boat launch in it, that the mouth of the Anclote they feel is silting up and may be hampering some of the discharge. So maybe we need to look at some of that river as well. And it winds through the Holiday area where there are a lot of people also on the river.
Okay.
So we may want to add that to the scope. One other question I have too is living now in Gulf Harbors on the South Channel. I've had residents tell me that it used to be that the water there was clear, and maybe you know this, Mike. But now the water in that bayou there is not so clear. And I wonder if not only looking at dredging, but looking at the health of our systems could be incorporated into this somehow, and especially now that we're part of the Tampa Bay estuary. And I think someone needs to come take a look at our ecosystem and see if there are things we can do to improve it. So.
Okay. That's not currently in the task order that we presented, but we could add that to that if you would like, and go back and reassess and then come back again.
And I see
or we can come up with a new task order to address that separately too. So there's a couple different options that we could use.
Well, I don't want to hold this one up, but board members, Mike.
It's relevant. I mean,
Yeah, I
no
think so,
doubt
too.
that the fishery has changed over the years here, and I think it's because of population and people spraying their yards and so forth. And I think it probably is a good idea to look at it. Are you done yet?
Yes, go ahead. I want to hear your comments because you're a fisherman.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm a new fisherman.
well, it's definitely changed, and the issue really is, all these canal systems you're looking at are deep canals when you get in them. They're all deep. I mean, they're all about the same depth there, as far as sea forest and back in the back, but it's just some access points at the beginning. And, like Hudson Channel, I know that was dredged a while back. I don't know how much we paid, who paid for that. It wasn't done very good. I mean, these commercial fishermen have to wait for high tide to even get out to fish, and that's part of the problem. We've got Port Richey, Gulf Harbors. Once you get in there, it's 20 foot deep, and it stays like that. It's a good depth, but it's just getting in. So it definitely needs to be addressed, and I think it'll affect tourism and bring more folks where they can have better access. But the water clarity definitely needs to be looked at, in my opinion.
How could we add that to this, Michelle?
So the whole purpose of the Restore Act is to look at the environment, so I have to imagine that is included in the scope of work that's going to be done, and he's nodding his head at me, so why don't we have him come forward and talk about how that will be part of the effort.